The morning sun, a painter's brush, began its slow sweep across Harmony Heights, coaxing vibrant hues from the brick facades and the lush, overgrown gardens. A symphony of sounds, familiar and comforting, began to stir. The distant rumble of the early bus, the rhythmic squeak of a swing set in Mrs. Henderson's yard, and the faint, sweet scent of coffee and frying bacon wafting from open windows. This was Harmony Heights, a place where every brick held a memory, every tree whispered tales of generations, and every face was a familiar chapter in a shared history. At the heart of this living tapestry was Evelyn, Mama E. Johnson, a woman whose very presence was a testament to the neighborhood's enduring spirit. At 78 years old, her silver hair, meticulously gathered into an elegant bun, caught the first rays of light, shimmering like a halo. Her deep-set brown eyes, though softened by age, held an unwavering gaze, reflecting a lifetime of wisdom, joy, and sorrow. The fine lines etched around them were not merely wrinkles, but a map of countless smiles, tears, and the quiet strength that had seen her through every challenge. Her posture, remarkably erect for her years, spoke of an inner dignity that transcended physical form. Dressed in a simple yet impeccably clean floral dress, Mama E embodied the quiet grace and profound respect that defined Harmony Heights. Every morning, Mama E embarked on her ritualistic walk, a silent communion with the streets that had cradled her entire life. She greeted every passerby with a warm nod, a knowing smile, or a gentle word of encouragement. The children, recognizing her as the neighborhood's beloved matriarch, would pause their games to offer a respectful, "Good morning, Mama E." Their innocent voices, filled with reverence, were music to her ears. She knew every crack in the sidewalk, every blooming rosebush, every porch swing that creaked just so. This was her home, her legacy, a vibrant testament to the resilience and spirit of a people who had built something beautiful from the ground up. Harmony Heights wasn't just a collection of houses. It was a living, breathing entity, a repository of Black history and culture. The community center, a repurposed old church, buzzed with activity from dawn till dusk. Elders gathered for dominoes and storytelling, their laughter echoing through the halls. Younger generations learned about their heritage through vibrant murals depicting civil rights heroes and local legends. The aroma of collard greens and fried chicken often mingled with the soulful strains of gospel music from Sunday services, creating an intoxicating blend that was uniquely Harmony Heights. It was a place where everyone knew your name, where a neighbor's struggle was everyone's burden, and a neighbor's triumph, everyone's joy. But a shadow, cold and calculating, began to creep into this sun-drenched haven. Its name was Richard Sterling, a man who saw not homes but assets, not people but numbers on a ledger. At 40 years old, Sterling was a tall, slender figure, his perfectly coiffed blonde hair and cold blue eyes giving him the appearance of a predator in a bespoke suit. His hands, long and restless, seemed perpetually poised to close a deal or crush an obstacle. Sterling was the embodiment of unchecked greed, a man for whom human connection was merely a weakness to be exploited. Sterling's initial forays into Harmony Heights were subtle, almost imperceptible. Flyers for cash for homes appeared on lampposts, followed by unsolicited phone calls and letters. At first, they were dismissed as minor annoyances, easily ignored. But then the offers became more aggressive, the calls more frequent, the letters more insistent. Whispers of a large development project, a luxury high-rise, began to circulate, chilling the warm air of Harmony Heights. Sterling, through his shell corporations, began to acquire a few properties on the periphery of the neighborhood, targeting those with elderly residents or families facing financial hardship. He was a spider, meticulously weaving his web, slowly tightening his grip. The first direct threat came in the form of a formal notice delivered to Mama E's doorstep. It was a notice of eminent domain, citing a dubious public works project that would require the demolition of several homes, including hers. The paper felt cold and alien in her hands, a stark contrast to the warmth of her home, a home that had been in her family for 5 generations. The legal jargon was dense, but the message was clear. They wanted her out. This was not just about property. It was an assault on their very existence, a direct challenge to the heart of Harmony Heights. Mama E's eyes, usually so serene, hardened with a resolve that had been forged in the fires of countless struggles. The fight for Harmony Heights had just begun.
Richard Sterling's initial, seemingly innocuous overtures quickly escalated into a full-blown assault on Harmony Heights. The flyers and phone calls morphed into aggressive door-to-door solicitations, often accompanied by thinly veiled threats. His agents, slick and predatory, would loiter around the community center, whispering promises of quick cash to vulnerable residents, preying on their anxieties and financial strains. The once harmonious hum of the neighborhood began to be punctuated by the unsettling presence of unfamiliar faces, their eyes scanning properties with a cold, calculating gaze. Sterling's tactics were a masterclass in psychological warfare. He'd offer prices just high enough to tempt those struggling, but far below the true value of their homes, especially considering the generational wealth embedded within them. For those who resisted, the pressure mounted. Suddenly, minor code violations would be reported, followed by exorbitant fines. Property taxes, inexplicably, would skyrocket. The once reliable garbage collection would become erratic. Streetlights would mysteriously flicker out, and the vibrant murals that adorn the community walls would be defaced overnight. These were not random acts. They were calculated blows, designed to chip away at the community's resolve, to make life in Harmony Heights unbearable. It was amidst this escalating tension that Marcus M.J. Jones returned to Harmony Heights. At 25 years old, MJ was a lean, athletic young man, his short, neatly trimmed hair framing a face that was both thoughtful and determined. His easy smile, a reflection of his grandmother's warmth, often masked a sharp, perceptive mind. Dressed in a comfortable hoodie and jeans, he carried himself with the confident swagger of someone who knew where he came from, even as he embraced the wider world. He was Mama E's grandson, her pride and joy, and a living bridge between the neighborhood's rich past and its uncertain future. MJ had been away at college, pursuing a degree in digital media, a world away from the familiar rhythms of Harmony Heights. He'd heard snippets from Mama E about some developer causing trouble, but the full weight of the situation didn't hit him until he stepped off the bus and felt the palpable shift in the air. The vibrant energy he'd remembered was now tinged with an undercurrent of anxiety. The familiar faces he greeted seemed more weary, their smiles less bright. He saw the new for sale signs, stark white against the familiar brick, and a knot tightened in his stomach. This wasn't the Harmony Heights he'd left. His first encounter with Sterling's influence was chillingly personal. He found Mama E, usually unflappable, sitting at her kitchen table, a stack of official-looking letters fanned out before her, her brow furrowed in a way she'd rarely seen. One letter in particular was a notice of a significant property tax increase, seemingly out of nowhere. "They're trying to squeeze us out, baby," she said, her voice low but firm. "1 penny, 1 paper at a time." MJ's initial reaction was a surge of youthful indignation. He wanted to confront these people, to fight fire with fire. But Mama E, ever the strategist, urged caution. "Impatience is a luxury we cannot afford, son," she advised. "We need to be smart. We need to be united." Despite Mama E's wisdom, the pressure began to take its toll. The first losses were heartbreaking. The elderly Mr. Elijah, who had run the neighborhood barbershop for 50 years, sold his property after a relentless campaign of harassment and a sudden, crippling fine for a fabricated building code violation. Then came the Rodriguez family, who, facing mounting medical bills and constant intimidation, reluctantly accepted Sterling's lowball offer. Each departure was a fresh wound, a piece of Harmony Heights chipped away. The community, though resilient, felt the weight of these losses, a creeping sense of despair threatening to take root. One evening, after another tense community meeting where fear and frustration hung heavy in the air, Mama E stood before her neighbors, her voice, though soft, carrying the weight of generations. "They think they can break us," she declared, her eyes sweeping across the faces, young and old, gathered before her. "They think our history is just dirt under their feet, but they forget one thing. Roots run deep in Harmony Heights, deeper than any concrete they can pour, stronger than any paper they can wave." Her gaze settled on MJ, a silent plea and a challenge. "We built this. Our ancestors bled for this, and we will not let it be taken from us." Her words, a rallying cry, ignited a spark. The despair began to recede, replaced by a flicker of renewed determination. Mama E, the quiet matriarch, had made her decision. The time of passive resistance was over. The fight for Harmony Heights, for its very soul, had truly begun. And she would lead her community into the storm, come what may.
Mama E's words, delivered with the quiet authority of a queen addressing her loyal subjects, resonated deep within the hearts of Harmony Heights. The flicker of determination she had ignited quickly grew into a roaring flame. The community, shaken but not broken, began to mobilize. The old community center, once a place for social gatherings, transformed into a war room. Tables laden with legal documents, maps, and protest signs replaced the domino tables. The air, once filled with the scent of Sunday dinners, now hummed with the energy of collective action. Mama E, with MJ by her side, became the undisputed general of this grassroots army. She organized daily meetings, not just to strategize, but to uplift spirits, to remind everyone of the rich legacy they were fighting to protect. She shared stories of their ancestors, of their struggles and triumphs, weaving a narrative of resilience that bound them together. MJ, with his tech savvy, created a website and social media campaigns, spreading their message beyond the confines of Harmony Heights, garnering support from sympathetic organizations and individuals across the city and beyond. He filmed testimonials from residents, capturing the raw emotion of their plight, turning their personal stories into powerful weapons against Sterling's cold, corporate narrative. Their efforts soon caught the attention of Sarah Chen, a sharp, astute Asian-American lawyer, 35 years old, whose professional demeanor was as polished as her sleek black hair. Her thin-rimmed glasses framed intelligent, watchful eyes that missed nothing. Dressed in tailored suits, she exuded an air of quiet confidence and formidable competence. Her expression was typically serious, but a spark of deep compassion would occasionally soften her gaze, especially when she spoke of the injustices faced by her clients. Sarah believed in the law as a tool for justice, a shield for the vulnerable, and a sword against oppression. Her motivation was not personal gain, but the unwavering pursuit of a more equitable legal system. Sarah had been following the news of Harmony Heights' struggle, initially with professional interest, then with growing indignation. She saw through Sterling's thinly veiled tactics, recognizing the familiar pattern of predatory development. She reached out to Mama E, offering her services pro bono. "This isn't just about property, Mama E," Sarah stated, her voice calm and clear during their first meeting. "This is about human rights,
about cultural preservation, and I believe we have a strong case. With Sarah's legal expertise, their resistance gained a new, formidable dimension. She began to dissect Sterling's legal maneuvers, identifying loopholes and weaknesses. They organized peaceful protests outside Sterling's downtown offices, their voices, amplified by MJ's social media reach, echoing through the city streets. They launched a petition, gathering thousands of signatures, demanding a halt to Sterling's predatory practices. They sought out historical documents, land deeds, and old city records, meticulously building a counter-narrative to Sterling's claims. But Sterling was not one to be easily deterred. As the community's resistance grew, so did his aggression. He hired private security guards to patrol the streets, their intimidating presence a constant reminder of his power. He initiated frivolous lawsuits against community leaders, including Mama E, hoping to drain their resources and break their spirit. He even attempted to bribe key figures within the community, offering large sums of money in exchange for their silence or cooperation. The pressure was immense, a suffocating blanket of fear and uncertainty that threatened to extinguish the flame of hope they had so carefully nurtured. One night, a fire broke out in the old community center, causing significant damage. While the official report cited an electrical malfunction, the community knew in their hearts it was an act of intimidation, a desperate attempt by Sterling to silence them. The smell of smoke and charred wood hung heavy in the air, a bitter reminder of the stakes. Despair threatened to creep back in, its cold tendrils wrapping around their resolve. Mama E, surveying the damage, felt a pang of weariness. But then she looked at the faces around her. MJ, his jaw set in grim determination. Sarah, already discussing legal avenues for investigation. And the countless community members, their eyes filled with sorrow, but also with an unyielding defiance. This was their home, their history, their future, and they would not surrender. The fire, instead of breaking them, only hardened their resolve, forging their unity into an unbreakable bond. The fight had just gotten personal. They would not just defend, they would reclaim.
The fire at the community center, a blatant act of intimidation, served only to galvanize Harmony Heights. The scent of smoke, instead of signaling defeat, became the acrid perfume of defiance. The community, led by Mama E, rallied with renewed vigor. Donations poured in from sympathetic outsiders, and residents, young and old, worked tirelessly to repair the damage, their hands a blur of hammers and paintbrushes. The incident, meant to break them, had instead forged their unity into an unyielding shield. Meanwhile, Sarah Chen, fueled by a quiet fury, delved deeper into the labyrinthine world of property law and historical records. She spent countless hours poring over dusty archives, microfiches, and obscure legal texts, her sharp mind sifting through centuries of legislation. She knew Sterling's tactics were aggressive, but she suspected a deeper, more systemic vulnerability in his approach. Her fingers, stained with ink and dust, danced across old maps and deeds, searching for the forgotten threads of justice. One late night, in the hushed silence of the city archives, a flicker of hope ignited. Tucked away in a forgotten box of municipal records, Sarah discovered a series of obscure, century-old land deeds and a forgotten local ordinance. It was an ancient land law, a relic from the post-Reconstruction era designed to protect newly emancipated Black communities from predatory land grabs. The law, largely ignored and forgotten over time, stipulated that land within certain designated historical districts, including Harmony Heights, could not be sold or developed without the unanimous consent of the original inhabitants or their direct descendants, and only then if the sale demonstrably benefited the community as a whole. It was a legal loophole,
a forgotten safeguard, a ghost from the past that could become their most potent weapon. Sarah's heart pounded as she read the faded script, the words jumping off the page with a newfound urgency. This wasn't just a law, it was a testament to the foresight and resilience of their ancestors, a legal bulwark against the very forces they were now fighting. She immediately called Mama E, her voice trembling with excitement. "Mama E," she exclaimed, "I think I found it. A way to stop him, a way to reclaim what's rightfully yours." The discovery sent a ripple of cautious optimism through Harmony Heights. The community, under Sarah's meticulous guidance, began the arduous task of preparing their case. MJ, with his digital prowess, became invaluable, digitizing old family trees, cross-referencing names with census records, and creating a comprehensive database of every resident's lineage, tracing their roots back to the original settlers of Harmony Heights. They gathered sworn affidavits from elders, their voices, though frail, strong with the weight of history, recounting generations of ownership and community stewardship. They unearthed faded photographs, yellowed letters, and forgotten family Bibles, each piece a tangible link to the past, a silent witness to their enduring presence. But as the legal battle loomed, Sterling, sensing the shift in momentum, unleashed his most brutal assault yet. He initiated mass eviction notices, citing fabricated health and safety violations, targeting the most vulnerable families. He deployed a team of aggressive, intimidating lawyers who filed injunctions and countersuits attempting to bury Sarah's team in a mountain of paperwork. The local media, influenced by Sterling's deep pockets, began to paint the community as obstructionist, clinging to outdated traditions and hindering progress. It was the darkest moment for Harmony Heights. The constant pressure, the fear of losing their homes, the relentless legal attacks, it began to wear them down. Some residents, their spirits flagging, started to question if the fight was worth it, if they could truly win against such a powerful adversary. The vibrant energy that had fueled their resistance began to wane, replaced by a quiet desperation. One particularly bleak evening, after a devastating court setback, Mama E sat on her porch, the familiar creak of the swing a mournful lullaby. She felt the weight of her years, the burden of her community's hopes, pressing down on her. A single tear traced a path down her weathered cheek. But then she looked up. Across the street, a group of children were playing, their laughter, pure and unburdened, cutting through the encroaching gloom. She saw MJ, tirelessly working on his laptop, his brow furrowed in concentration. She remembered the faces of her ancestors, their struggles, their unwavering faith. A deep breath filled her lungs, and with it, a renewed surge of strength. Just as despair threatened to consume them, Sarah delivered the revitalizing twist. She had found it. Irrefutable, meticulously preserved historical documents. Original land grants, signed by city officials over a century ago, explicitly referencing the ancient law and detailing the boundaries of Harmony Heights as a protected communal trust. These weren't just old papers. They were the very foundation of their claim, the legal bedrock upon which their community was built. The documents, combined with the genealogical evidence MJ had painstakingly compiled, formed an impenetrable shield against Sterling's machinations. The tide had turned. The forgotten past was now their future. The final confrontation was at hand. Harmony Heights was ready to reclaim its destiny.
The courtroom was a crucible, a stark, unforgiving arena where the fate of Harmony Heights hung in the balance. Every seat was filled, a sea of faces from the community, their hopes and fears etched onto their expressions. Richard Sterling, impeccably dressed as always, sat at his table, a sneer playing on his lips, confident in the power of his wealth and influence. Across from him, Mama E sat with quiet dignity, her hand clasped firmly in MJ's, a silent testament to the generation she represented. Sarah Chen, poised and resolute, stood before the judge, the weight of Harmony Heights resting on her shoulders. The legal battle was fierce, a clash of titans. Sterling's lawyers, a phalanx of sharp-suited aggressors, presented their case with a barrage of technicalities, financial projections, and character assassinations, attempting to paint Harmony Heights as a decaying relic, hindering urban progress. They dismissed the community's historical claims as sentimental nonsense, their unity as mere emotionalism. The air crackled with tension, thick with the scent of old paper, polished wood, and the nervous imagery of a community fighting for its life. Then it was Sarah's turn. She began not with legal jargon, but with a story. She spoke of Harmony Heights not as a collection of properties, but as a living organism, a vibrant tapestry woven from generations of struggle, joy, and unwavering resilience. She presented the meticulously compiled genealogical records, tracing each family's lineage back to the original settlers, demonstrating their unbroken connection to the land. She then unveiled the ancient land law, its faded script projected onto a large screen, its words echoing with the wisdom of forgotten foresight. She presented the original land grants, signed and sealed, irrefutable proof of the community's communal trust. Her voice, clear and resonant, filled the courtroom. She spoke of the fire at the community center, the harassment, the intimidation, painting a vivid picture of Sterling's predatory tactics. She called Mama E to the stand, whose testimony, delivered with quiet strength and profound truth, resonated deeply. Mama E spoke not of legalities, but of heart, of home, of the sacred bond between a people and their land. She spoke of the ancestors buried beneath the soil, of the children playing in the streets, of the dreams that had been nurtured in Harmony Heights for over a century. Her words were not just testimony, they were a living history, a plea from the soul of a community. Sterling's lawyers attempted to discredit Mama E, to dismiss her testimony as emotional and irrelevant. But their attacks only served to highlight their own callousness, their disconnect from the human cost of their greed. The judge, a stoic figure throughout the proceedings, listened intently, his gaze shifting between the cold legal arguments and the raw, undeniable truth emanating from the community. After what felt like an eternity, the judge delivered his verdict. His voice, calm and measured, cut through the silence. He acknowledged the historical significance of Harmony Heights, the validity of the ancient land law, and the irrefutable evidence of Sterling's predatory tactics. He ruled in favor of Harmony Heights. The community's communal trust was upheld. Sterling's claims were dismissed. He was ordered to cease all operations in Harmony Heights and to pay substantial damages for the harm inflicted. A collective gasp, then a wave of joyous exclamation swept through the courtroom. Tears streamed down faces, hands clasped in relief and triumph. Mama E, her eyes shining, embraced Sarah and MJ, a silent acknowledgement of their shared victory. Richard Sterling, his face contorted in a mask of disbelief and rage, stormed out of the courtroom, his empire of greed crumbling around him. He had underestimated the power of a united community, the strength of roots that run deep. The celebration that followed was unlike anything Harmony Heights had ever seen. The streets, once shadowed by fear, now vibrated with music, laughter, and the aroma of shared meals. Neighbors embraced, danced, and sang, their voices echoing the joy of liberation. Children, oblivious to the legal complexities, ran freely, their innocent laughter a testament to the future that had been secured. The community center, fully restored, became the heart of the celebration, a symbol of their resilience and rebirth. Mama E, standing on the porch of the community center, looked out at her people, her heart overflowing. She saw the faces of her ancestors in the eyes of the elders, the promise of the future in the faces of the children. She saw the enduring spirit of Harmony Heights, a spirit that had faced adversity and emerged stronger, more united.
The fight had been long and arduous, but the victory was sweet, a testament to the power of collective action, the unbreakable bond of community, and the enduring legacy of those who refused to be moved. The heart of Harmony Heights beat on, strong and true, a legacy for all to witness.